So here we are again, having to have a conversation about Poland. And I'm expecting the hate, and I'm expecting the, different people from Poland telling me different things. But here's the reality as I see it. The Polish have attempted to attack or start wars with Russia pretty regularly for the past few hundred years. There was Napoleon's little jaunt across Europe that was heavily supported by the Polish, and I mean, hopefully we all know how that ended up. And even as late as after the First World War, the Polish attempted to take land from Russia. Now, why are we talking about this now? Well, the Soviet Union obviously contained a lot of different countries, but three of the biggest were Belarus, Ukraine and Russia. And Belarus, Ukraine and Russia have always had a kind of sisterly pact. They even had a monument on the borders of the three countries called the Three Sisters to display how connected they all are to each other. Belarus and Russia have clearly kept this up. Ukraine decided to remove that statue and destroy it last week in an act of hostility towards, to be honest, not just Russia and not just Belarus, but also to their own history. And I think it's really, really important to note that when talking about what's currently happening with Poland. Poland have repeatedly, and by this I mean Duda, the president of Poland, the elected official of Poland, has repeatedly made it clear that returning the stolen parts of Poland to Poland from Ukraine is a massive part of what he is trying to do. And more recently, as we've seen the land controlled by Ukraine ebbing away because of Russian advances, there have been more and more comments of this nature, as if Poland is going to attempt to take by force this area of Ukraine that it deems to be Poland. Now, I think it's highly unlikely that Russia is going to allow Poland to take part of Ukraine. Not just because I think that the way Poland's behaved, not just now but in the history, has been absolutely disgraceful towards Russia, but also because invariably it is not what's best for the people that live in that area that, if you like, we can call contested. It's not even just contested by Poland, it's also contested by Hungary and Lithuania, and I don't feel like it's where this is going to go, personally. And I also don't believe that that's what's best for the Polish, because the land that they're talking about, kind of west of Kiev, it's all been sold to BlackRock, or through BlackRock to multinationals, or the industry or the infrastructure. My fear, to be honest with you, is that Ukraine is left as some sort of miniature rump state which will own all of the debt that it's allegedly built up through this wild attack on Russia. Now, my fear for Poland is that it has been set up for many years, at least 100 years, as the next battle against Russia. There is no way on God's green earth that Poland can take on Russia. None. Okay? What Poland have said they want to do very clearly, and again, this isn't conjecture, however much Polish people are going to talk to me in the comments and say, oh, that's not what the Polish think. This is what Polish officials have said, okay, that they want to rebuild the Polish-Lithuanian commonwealth. Now, I don't know how Lithuania feel about that. The only reason there was a Polish-Lithuanian commonwealth is because Poland backstabbed the Lithuanians. Again, please go and do your own research on the history of Poland. It is wild. But essentially it amounts to lots of feudalism, trying to take more territory than's theirs, getting away with it for a while, invading Russia, and then ceasing to exist. And repeat. Okay, so that's kind of a 5-second history of Poland, all right? And it looks like this is what we're reaching again. Now, why are Poland doing this? Well, they're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place in that they're fighting their own culture, you know? Polish people have far more in common with Russian people than they do Americans or Europeans. Yet, Polish children are taught English at school. Poland has joined the EU, bizarrely. Poland has sought to decouple itself from Russia for years and years and years and years and years. And a lot of that is to do what happened at the end of the Soviet Union and I'm going to say it, the lies about what happened at the end of the Soviet Union, which all comes down to Russophobia. And we know that because the Ukrainians were part of the Soviet Union, but yet Poland's fine with them, but not cool with Russia. So this is just plain and simple CIA-driven propaganda. So the Poles have this nostalgic opinion of themselves that they were once these great people that, you know, had loads of territory and loads of land and were really wonderful. No, it's not true. The royalties of Poland were very, very cruel. The royalty of Poland was a big reason for the First World War. This obsessive need to retake land, even with the bizarrely changeable history of that part of the world, is one of the reasons why the Second World War happened the way it was. And Poland and the Polish lie about what happened at the end of the Second World War. The Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact was a pact between the Soviets and the Germans, because when the Germans came into Poland, the Polish government left. They went into exile. They didn't even put up a fight. They just left. And the Germans were willing to state Poland as being stateless, a non-country, something they could completely take over. And the areas that we're talking about, which were annexed by the Soviet Union, were the ones that contained Hungarians, Lithuanians, Ukrainians, you know, ethnic Slavs that the Russians and the Soviets did not want to become part of this killing machine of the Germans. Now, when the Soviets won the Second World War, yes, they did occupy Poland. They did denazify Poland. If we look at Iraq, if we look at Afghanistan, we can see what happens when you go and you remove a system of government, or in this case, a system of government is removed, and you don't put anything in its place. Yet, that system, you know, imperfect though it is, has been used as a reason to hate Russians. It makes no sense. Even if the Soviet Union was the worst place on earth, it makes no sense to hate Russians and not Ukrainians because they were all part of it. A number of the issues that are brought up, Katlin, for example, there are so many discrepancies about that situation, and this happened at a time when nationalism and Nazism was huge in Poland. So you have to understand that there are other ways to look at this, but only one narrative is pushed in Poland: that Polish are sweet and innocent and kind and wonderful, and that they deserve more land. And that is what we're seeing here, and that is why Mr Putin said that speech he did last week, where he said the Polish need to remember why they still have a country and wind their neck in, because the Polish are now threatening Belarus. They need Belarus to form the Polish-Lithuanian commonwealth. They need Western Belarus, and they ain't getting it. So unfortunately, we continue to have to talk about this. Please look at the history of Poland and realise what's really going on here, or they will be the next Ukraine, and it will end in the same way.